Hello, hello. Today is the day of part 2 of our, let's call it, daytime series or sky personification interpretation video series. Anyway, last time we made dawn, today we will make the day. Today is the day when we make the day. That will make our day. How often can you say day in a one video? Yeah, because of me not feeling in the mood for it, I didn't record any audio, so you have to live with voice over me. Anyway, let's start with the day. Because of my design, I decided to use Claude Wolf. I think his dark skin color is a very nice contrast to the gold I planned for the costume and everything. And because I thought I want to make the day something very handsome and charismatic guy, I thought he would work quite well. I messed up quite a lot, but you will see that later. First of all, we needed to prepare at least the head of our boy for the worst that will come. Starting, obviously, with the reroute, I decided to use white hair because two things. Again, the contrast was quite nice, and second, I thought it could resemble clouds in the sky a little bit, so that was why I went with white, and I am still happy that I did. While I did the repaint, there was one thing why I was not so happy about it afterwards. There is one big flaw I see in Claude, and that is his ears are in the completely wrong position. And they are cat ears, or wolf ears. So they had to go away. That left us with two major holes in his head that had to be stuffed. And for that I came up with a solution to glue some of the white hair onto craft foam or fun foam or however you are calling that. Then roll it up and glue it inside. First I rolled it so the hair was facing inside, but that left us with still some bold spots, so I took another piece, wrapped it so that the hair was on the outside of my little roll, and then glued it in. And that gave us a surprisingly good solution for covering up the hole in his head. I was surprised. After that, obviously, we were left with no ears at all, and I had to sculpt two ears. First I thought I can remove them from another doll and glue them on. That failed miserably, so I had to sculpt them. Yeah, what can I say? Maybe one day I will have enough practice to make pretty ears. I think they turned out quite okay-ish in the end, but not perfect. Color matching acrylic paint to the skin tone of your doll can be very annoying. Because in the end, the color I mixed dried a lot darker than it looked at first, so I had to remix some color and did another coat, and that dried darker as well. So I was able to fix it with some soft pastels, but that was a teeny tiny bit annoying, I have to say. For the repaint portion, I started with some shading, and I used my pan pastels that I now love more than anything else. I now can really understand the hype. I tried to balance out the color variation between the ears and the main skin color, and then just shaded him as much as I thought I needed to. And after a bit of sketching out with the pencils and everything, I then decided to use some white acrylic paint to draw in the eyes. Just because I thought trying to use a white pencil, would be a disaster. I would have to do a build-up for ages, and I wasn't willing to do that. And I am lazy, so I just did 2 layers and thought I was fine. Yeah, that made the eyes a bit bumpy, so I think the irises are not as good as they could have looked. But I'm fine with him. But then I made the first big mistake. When I drew the lips, I already noticed, quite difficult to give him a smile. Yeah, and I ended up placing the eyebrows too close together and too low, which basically gives him a fairly stern, maybe even angry look. And it's the complete opposite of what I intended him to look like, but I have to say I really like that. I like his rather serious expression, and it might not fit the sunny and bubbly nature I originally pictured for the day, but it gives him something. Yeah, I can't put it in words. I really like that I made the mistake and put his eyebrows too close together, and later I added some white acrylic paint, which made them even more pronounced. And yeah, basically I did a big oopsie there, but I think the big oopsie looks quite cool in the end. Yeah, and because I knew his costume, I knew where I needed to shade the body, so I did that as well. But only where it was necessary. Because I'm lazy, you know me. With the gloss, I had to be a bit more careful today. I wanted to gloss his eyes, but I wanted to give his lips a tiny bit of sheen as well. So I tried to mainly gloss the center part of his lips. It is time for the outfit reveal. Obviously he wears pants. What a surprise. I made these out of a fabric that I bought on Temu, and I am fairly surprised by it, because first of all, it is freaking soft. Second of all, it has a wonderful light blue with a slightly pinkish sheen to it. I was so stunned by the fabric. Yeah, this time I stitched some, or made some stitches underneath his feet because of his boots that he will wear, and I wanted his pants to stay down there. And then it was time for his embroidered coat, mantle, top piece thingamajig. I'm fairly proud of it. And now, what I forgot last time, how I made the pieces that were gilded in the end. I show that on this Barbie body, and that will leave us with a new piece I can use for my Barbies. Surprise! First step, the doll that I used was wrapped into aluminium foil, and because we are using hot glue, it is nearly impossible to remove all of the foil in the end. If you really take your time, you might be able, but I couldn't be bothered. Yeah, first I tried to make the aluminium foil as close to the body as possible by rubbing something firm over it and having it cling to her as close as I could. When I made the backdrop with the tree, you might have seen that in some of my pictures, I had ordered different foliage options, and one of those is this ribbon that you see on camera now. I think it is an iron-on ribbon for clothing originally, but yeah, I used it by cutting off the leaves and then gluing them individually to a doll. And the good thing with this is you can do basically every shape as close as you like it, and because these leaves have a little slit in the center, they wrap around curves quite nicely, but you can also just glue them to each other and make parts sticking out, like I did with his coat tails and the shoulder parts. And yeah, I really think that this way of doing a corset or clothing for dolls is quite nice. Today or nowadays I don't trust hot glue anymore so much, because a lot of things I made with hot glue fell apart in summer, and I don't think that Germany is that hot that that should happen. So I guess I would still do the start with hot glue, but I would cover it with fabric hardener or something like that to make sure the part you make will stay completed. With the costumes my series here is wearing, I then put on the adhesive for the gilding metal sheet foil thingamajigs, let that dry and put on the metal. With this one I just took out some leftover varnish glue stuff that I had, where I mixed in some shine and used that. Then I cut some ribbons to size, glued them in the back just to make the part where I want to sew it together later, or yeah, lace it up a bit more sturdy. And because we were on our merry race, I just smashed on some rhinestones and now have a green, slightly pinkish, quite nice corset. And maybe I even have the right fabric to make a flowery dress for her that might fit. I'm not sure. Maybe you like to tell me your opinion. How would you feel about this combination? Does it fit or does it look awful? Let me know. Yeah, and then it's just removing the corset aluminium foil thingamajig from the doll, removing all the excess aluminium foil, and as I said, as long as you don't see it, don't bother. Just remove what you can see from the outside. And yeah, that is how I made the pieces for the costumes. Ta-da! Then it was time for styling him, and yeah, first I took his head, cut away the hair that I thought was too much, but I used that leftover to cut it down into teeny tiny little shreds. Basically tried to make flocking out of it. It looks more rough than flocking, but I think you have at least a little bit of the hair structure still there. And yeah, I glued that to all the areas where you would have normally hair when you have a full head of hair, where he didn't have some. And then I glued a beard to his chin as well. Yeah, and that needed to dry then. What a surprise. Then I tried a first round of styling him, and yeah, I used some normal hair products, and I thought I'd get away with just styling him or getting his hair flat by using a hairdryer. That went completely wrong, and in the end I decided I will drown him in boiling water, wearing his costume and all. I tried to protect that with a towel. Which, after all, was quite a good thing to do, because now I chopped his hair more accurate, and then I was able to get it roughly how I wanted it. I had to use some glue to style it, but I guess with a male doll it more looks like hair gel and you can get away with it. But with that, he was done. I put his jewelry, accessory thingamajigs on him, and I am quite happy with him. So let's take a look at the finished results. I have to say I really like these two together, and yeah, I'm happy with him. Even if he is a lot more grumpy than I originally thought I want to make him, I do like how he turned out. Let me know what you think about him in the comment section below, and I hope we will see us in another video. We are now already halfway through this series, so yay me! Have a great time, and until then, bye.